Yo, what up guy, Brief 5D here, and this is the champion guide or champion spotlight for Helicath, a champion which you could have obtained in June of 2022 for free if you are playing the game by then, because he was released by means of a fusion, and a lot of players in Raid got him totally for free by doing the events and tournaments. I've had him all this time, but I'm building him just now this month only because I did not need him for anything in the game. What was he most famously used for? Unkillable teams. By then I already had a double man-eater teams going for me, doing bat eater and all that, so I did not need this champion to be the unkillable champion or block damage champion. I needed to build an unkillable team for the clan boss. That's what a lot of players built him for. So why did I decide to build him today? Why is he out of the vault finally, and why am I talking about him in this guide right now? It's because of the new content that was just released, the Iron Twins Fortress. So that's what everybody has now seen, that block damage is the best way to go about that, and that's why Helicath is out of the vault, and I'm talking about him today and hyping it up a little bit for you guys. So caution, this video is not about unkillable teams for Helicath. This champion was not built for clan boss at all, so I'm just letting you know. If you're looking for a clan boss team or how to build Helicath for the clan boss, I'll direct you over to Deadwood Jedi's website, where he have all the builds, all the tunes, all the speeds and other champions you need with him to build an unkillable block damage team for the clan boss. This is not that video. Now let's talk about how I intend to use this champion for all other content besides clan boss. So the first thing we'll talk about is his skills, of course. The one I'll jump to straight up is this A3. That's what I brought him out of the vault for. That's why he's in my teams, and this is the skill you need to book. Once you have this skill fully booked, you don't really need to spend books on these other skills. That's what it's there for. So what am I talking about? This skill has an active effect where you just activate it and it will place a block damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Block damage means anybody that hits your allies, they will take 0 damage. Your allies will take no damage, and it's for 2 turns. The only champion that has this, I think, is Rushcard the Tower in Raid. That was the only person that had this thing on a 2-turn cooldown, and now Helicath is the second champion that have it. I mean, on a 2-turn. Before now, Helicath has comes up with a 2-turn also. When booked, is on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, this skill also places increased defense as a passive effect. Whenever the block damage is stolen or about to expires, that champion that just lost block damage will get increased defense. That's the for 2 turns. So that's what is good about it. It doesn't just bring block damage, it also brings increased defense, which you might need in battle when these champions lose the block damage. So this champion putting block damage for 2 turns makes him viable for every content that does damage to your team. I'm talking about Doom Tower War, I'm talking about Faction War, I'm talking about even dungeon runs. Anywhere you know you take damage and you don't want to take damage, bring him along. Even Hydra that does so much damage. This champion is huge for the Hydra. So I'm glad to finally be building him, and I'm going to be showing you this champion in 2 pieces of content. I'll show you a sample run for the Hydra, and I'll show you a sample run for my what do you call this team now, Iron Twins Fortress. So this is the skill I'm mostly focused on. Let's see what else he can bring to the battle though. On the A2, he places a shield. So this champion is one they're comparing to Valkyrie. She places a shield based on defense, so he places a shield based on defense also. Most champions we have in Raid Shadow Legends place their shield based on HP, based on their max HP or something like that. But him and Valkyrie are the 2 I've seen that places a shield based on defense. So the more defense you build on this champion, the higher the shield they will place on the entire team. So shield is important if you want to keep your team alive. So on the A1, he attacks 1 enemy 2 times, and he has a 25% weaken right there on the A1, which is also useful for the clan boss and Hydra and other contents. And he will also ignore shield and block damage when he does this A1. Most champions who you are building with high defense and all that, you really don't want to build attack on this champion. I'm talking about high crit rate and high crit damage. But if you want to use this champion for the clan boss and is an unkillable team, you might want to sneak in some crit rate and crit damage. But I'll show you my total stats and explain why I built him this way. On his passive, what else does it bring? Increase this champion's defense by 5% for each ally under block damage. So as the battle goes on, his defense goes up when that block damage is out there. He will counter attack with the default skill, which is his A1, whenever an ally hits while they're on their block damage. So he just, whenever anybody gets hit, he goes in and places that weaken on that ally, on these enemies. So he has an increased defense in all battles by 30%. That means you want this champion to be in the leader slot in your battles, and you'll see me using him in the leader slot in most battles because the champions I have around him are defense-based champions also. For his blessings, I decided to go towards Brimstone because that's a way for him to do damage. And if you get to maximum level there, you have 100% chance of placing that smite and doing that huge amount of damage from smite to the enemies, and 5% extra damage to other enemies around them. All right, that's the way I went. For masteries, I'll let you know that I don't have masteries on this champion yet, but if you're looking towards Helicath Masteries that you want to use for general content, for damage, talking about for Hydra, for clan boss, for everything, he will be going towards the War Master Mastery right there because his A1 hits twice. And of course, you might want some accuracy for that weaken. You want this one, the shield bearer, to increase the value of the shield that he places, and of course maybe reduce the cooldown of one of his skills, increase the number of, what do you call that, the shield, the count on the shield, maybe to go on a 3-turn shield instead of 2-turn, and of course increase the chances of placing that weaken. So that's the way I went. Of course, I've seen him go towards defense and support 3 also, if you do not want him to be doing any of this A1 damage right there. The number of A1 hits he does is required for you to put him on this if you want him to hit on the Hydra or clan boss and all that with that counter attack. So that's what I went that way. I don't have mastery on mine yet. I just brought him out of the vault, and my build, I don't need him for damage. That's why I did not put him in masteries yet. So what artifact did I build on this champion? Right there. So this artifact set is the best I feel is useful for the piece of content I plan to use him on. That is Hydra and the Iron Twins Fortress. Why do I go towards this artifact set? Is because it will give him the opportunity to reset the cooldown of his skill. Which skill? That A3. If you do not know what the reflex set does, a 40% chance to reduce the cooldown of skill. So that's, with the mastery I have right there, or I might put on him right there in the support 3, it might make it a 45% chance of reducing the cooldown, right, of his skill. And that is awesome for this reflex set because it will mean that this block damage will be available almost all the time. It will also be important if you turn off this shield. It will work better for you, but hey, you might leave it on and still be able to reset the 2. But most people who have reflex sets like only this one to be the one that is reset, and they usually turn off the shield. So that's the best set I felt is useful for this champion, for the Hydra and also for the Iron Twins Fortress. Now, if you do not have a good set of reflex set, which other artifact sets might you use on this champion? Relentless set is awesome for him, so he can take turns. So that might mean he will lose his block damage fast enough, but it means he will come around to it fast also. So that's one. If you do not have a good relentless set or a good reflex set, you might put speed set on this champion. That's the basic one you need. You need him to be fast. Well, not really first champion to take a turn in your team, but you don't want him to be just sitting there idly not doing it. He's a person that is supposed to keep your entire team alive, so he needs to be fast to get around to that block damage skill. That's what he's there for. I've seen him being used in lifesteal if you do not have a block damage full unkillable team yet. I've seen him being used in lifesteal also in the clan boss. That's the basic one most people use in the clan boss. And regen set if you plan to use him as a solo champion or some shit like that, but I wouldn't suggest you do that. Shield, he will not benefit from shield set because he already has an internally built shield set. And I'm just looking at which other one he will be benefiting from. Retaliation, no, not really. Immortal, high HP, high defense, not really. Yeah, that's the only one I can really think of. Not even perception is not good for this champion, but resilience, which boosts his HP and defense, might be good for him because this is a defensive artifact right here. So that's the main one I can only think of. If you have any other options, let me know in the comments, but I intend to build this champion. High resist is also an option to go, so resistance set is awesome for this champion, but I'll always recommend you go towards this resilient set if you have him on your team. This set will not work for the clan boss. That's something you should note. If you have a toon clan boss team, I say this is not a clan boss build, so this set is not something you need for the clan boss. But for the Hydra, this set is perfect because you have your skills available all the time and your champions will take literally no damage because block damage will always be available for you to flex on those Hydra foreheads. You have to be careful about the one that steals that block damage though. Because if your block damage is stolen from you, then they will just spread it around and they will take no damage also. So be careful when you bring Helicath to the Hydra. That's not a team I've perfected. I perfected this champion for the Iron Twins, and I'll be showing you that piece of content. So which stats do I have on this champion? You see me going towards defense. Well, I do have resistance right there, but the main thing I was looking for is high defense, resistance, because yes, you need a little resistance on this champion if you're going to use him for this type of content. And then I try to go for speed, resistance again right there. On the boots, I do have speed, HP, and resistance. Speed, triple rows right there. That's why I have a sleep one right there. And for a total stat, even on the banner, I went towards resistance. So if I go towards my total stat, you'll find that I did not build accuracy on this champion. I'll be honest with you. The weaken, the A1 weaken is the only thing that this champion needs accuracy for. But because usually on my team I have a Lydia who does decrease defense and weaken, or somebody else that has that weaken on their skill, I don't build Helicath for the weaken. But if he's the only champion that is bringing weaken to your team, then you can slot in some accuracy right there. That's why my accuracy is that low. I put everything into resistance instead, because I didn't want like 5k defense or 6k defense. But if I decided to go 0 resistance, then I would have gotten up to 6k defense. So you have to compare which do you want. Do you want more defense, or do you want resistance or more HP? So with this stats, this champion can survive Hydra, can survive most content. And check out the speed right there. 251 speed is the speed I decided to put just because of the Iron Twin Fortress, that their speed is 250, right? So I decided to make him 251 so he can go higher, faster than the head and place that block damage before the Iron Twins take a turn. So that's this champion. Check out my crit rate and crit damage, 0. So I did not want this champion to be doing any damage in the Iron Twins. You agree with me that the more damage you bring in there, the more chances that you proc the Iron Twins passive, which will make him cleanse all debuffs on him, including my Geo's HP burn. So I do not want him to be one of the person who is doing A1 and making the Iron Twins clear debuffs on them. That's why I did not bring crit damage or crit rate. Now, if I wanted this champion to be an Hydra specialist, I will build crit rate and crit damage. It is important for him to be doing much damage with his skills right there that he's bringing to the team. So there is no way to actually build this champion both for the Hydra and for the Iron Twins. You have to either make a special team for the Iron Twins that has no damage, no crit rate, no crit damage, and then build a special version that has a lot of crit rate and a lot of crit damage for Hydra. It's kind of a difficult way to balance it, but hey, if you already have your champion geared, mastered, and with crit rate and crit damage, you don't need to make it a change for this new Iron Twins Fortress. The heads, they might cleanse the debuff, but your Geo can always place it back. So that's me explaining why I went this build. Remember, this is specifically for Iron Twins. If I wanted him for the Hydra, where he's going to be helping me block damage, I'll also add War Master and crit rate and crit damage, and allow this resist go a little bit lower. Another explanation besides this crit rate or this resistance is that this is not enough resistance to resist every debuff that the Iron Twins is going to be placing on you. You're talking about decreased defense, that decreased attack, and even the the Iron Brand. It is not enough resistance. But because I have a champion right there like Geo who can be reducing the accuracy of that Iron Twins, the Iron Twins will not have enough accuracy to be landing those Iron Brands and other debuffs on this champion. That's what I think. That's why I did not go 700 resistance. You don't need that high if you have a champion right there reducing the boss accuracy by 50%. That's something you should note. Don't go too high on resistance just because you want to resist everything. Go halfway and let your decreased accuracy do the rest for you. But this might not work for the Hydra heads, but it works if you're in that first level of normal and hard Hydra. All right, that's me explaining my build and my total stats on this champion. I've showed you the masteries, I've talked about his skills. Let's take into some content and show you where I use this champion. The first piece of content that I'll show you is the Hydra, where I don't have him in my teams right now. I just built him today or yesterday, I think. Well, that's not the Hydra. He also works in the Doom Tower. No damage taken there. So in the Hydra, I plan to use him against a team Let me go into Hard Hydra. Well, I do have my HP bomb. Which champion can I remove here? I do need a provoke. A champion that can help me take less damage is Brogni. Well, so if you have Brogni in your team 1, your team 2 can now feature Helicath because they are doing similar roles. So Brogni can be replaced for Helicath, for champions, for those who do not have somebody like a Brogni. Although Brogni does more damage in terms of the passive, that when others get hit, that the bosses take a warm, I think it's a War Master hit also. So I think Helicath might be doing the counter attack, which also gives the same thing. So but Brogni comes in with a heal, while Helicath's shield does not heal the allies. So that's somebody he can replace right there in the team, and you have your runs going smoothly. Of course, I don't want to run a Hydra run right there, but it will take too long. But just for example, let me show you what I actually mean. If you want him to have extra defense, higher defense, you might put him in the leader slot. Let's just do a few seconds run, and I'll show you a little bit of it and end the run, because Hydra, we don't need to close the entire game when we want to escape the run, right? Can always do a free regroup. I've not spent my Hydra keys for the week, so I intend to use him to see if he will be better in my team 2. On the Hard Hydra, I do spend 2 keys to take down the head. I don't know if this is the one that has provoke right there, but let me see. Yes, that's the boss that we need to provoke right there. So I don't even need the block damage, but I'm just going with it. So with everything done, I can put it on auto and see how the run will go. Block damage right there, which my allies will take no damage. See, they try to steal it, but we blocked it. So it's quite awesome to watch this in battle. It works so smoothly. So for the entire 2 turns, my allies are taking no damage. Woo! Brimstone. That's the blessing I put on him. So he's doing some extra damage to them also. I have slow speed on them. Block damage also. So this looks like a perfect Hydra team right here. So my allies are all in full HP because of this 2-turn block damage, and I'm hoping he can reset back to it again and allow it to come back on. So my Hydra team is not yet perfect. I just wanted to show you what he can bring to the team, keep everybody alive, put these shields on, and you can see as their block damage expires, you can see him putting increased defense in all of them, for 2 turns, which is awesome. See, increased defense right there. I want to see if the block damage is up again. How fast does it come up available for you to use it again? I want to see him use it again before I end the run. Ooh, they do a cleanse. Can I do a provoke before something bad happens? We got resisted on that provoke, which is a bad thing. But I'm looking for that block damage to happen again. That's it. So your entire team will stay alive longer when you have things like this happening, and if you're not taking too much damage, you will stay alive longer to do more damage. All right, we'll end it there. Do my free regroup, and yeah, that's what it brings to an Hydra battle. If I had enough accuracy right there, I might not have been resisted. Now, the next piece of content I want to show you how I intend to use this Helicath that I just recently built is in the new Iron Twins Fortress, and I'll be putting it on full auto. Yes, because since this content came out, a lot of people are still battling with stage 15. A lot of videos have been made about teams you can use, but every other team right there seems to feature a Geomancer. So my team will not be different. If you do not have a Geomancer right here, you will have a hard time going through stage 15. That's just the truth. So everybody right now, the hottest champion for this Iron Twins Fortress is Geomancer. But besides a Geomancer, you need an entire team around him to keep him alive, to keep placing that HP bomb until you can take down this boss. So Helicath with block damage is one perfect example. I've also done a champion build about, what's her name now? Demeter, which also has a block damage on a 1-turn cooldown. So she's a small version of Helicath. So I have 2 of them in the same team, which means they are alternating their block damage skills. And whenever a block damage is available, the other will not place theirs. So it's like if you have 2 Helicaths, bring them down here and you will not regret it. So I'll pin this video for what's her name, Demeter, if you want to check out her video I did about her and how I built her for this team. She's also fast like Helicath, even faster than Helicath. All right, let me hit auto on this run and let's watch how what he brings to this team, because he's not doing it alone. It works in all affinity. I've not talked about this team, this full team, in a video. I'm just building pieces of this team right now, and he is one of the pieces that has joined recently and makes it possible to me to beat this boss. Now, be frank with you and tell you that this is not a very fast run. A lot of people who build Geomancer teams try to build 2 minutes run, 3 minutes run by making sure they don't blink a slow speed, by making sure the boss always takes a turn. No, I want to have slow speed so I don't get too many iron brands and then get nuked. So if you're going faster than the boss, you'll be able to take turns and reduce the number of iron brand stacks on your team, right? But if you're boosting the boss turn meter by putting more buffs, you get a fast run, but you will not have 100% consistent run, because sometimes the boss will go so hard and it will nuke everything. So of course this is not speed tuned, and because of the set that I decided to use, your iron brand stacks will be a problem for you when the boss takes a very huge hit at that 40% mark and then your team doesn't have block damage on them. So that's how I build this team right here. He's buffing. Sometimes when the slow speed is not on, it helps right there. So it's a nice one to watch. See, that buff right there made the boss take a turn. Woo! Did you see that damage from the stacks? But guess what? It also procced the boss's passive. Slow speed again to make sure everybody gets a turn, get my buff on again, get my cooldown allowed before we can take another turn. So I've been battling with a auto team that can do every affinity for a while, but I found out block damage is the best way to go. If you don't have Demeter, no problem. Him alone can also help you. I can also bring in a Venom, what's his name now? Not Venom Mage, I'm talking about Vogot. He's also a champion who can help you tank some damage if you're having an issue with this one. So HP one has been placed. Sometimes it's a 5 minutes run, sometimes it's a 4 minutes run, sometimes it's a 7 minutes run. But the fact is, I don't die, I don't wipe, I always have block damage available at the right time also. Now, what you should know about block damage is that you cannot increase the turns on it. If it's for 2 turns, it will be for 2 turns. You cannot increase the turns on your block damage with the skill from Demeter, which increases the turns on your buffs. Hit me again. Wow, HP Bond procced his passive again right there. You see that hit on Brimstone again. That's the blessing you want of this champion, Brimstone. I've underestimated that blessing for a while, but I feel like it's totally worth it right now. Block damage right there for 2 turns. This entire run has been going smoothly up to 50%. Nobody has taken more damage. The shields are there. The block damage is always there. So it's a nice one to have on your team right here. So I can't believe I didn't use this champion all this time. Mostly because I usually have a reviver in the team or somebody. You always rely on somebody goes down, a Seal the Drake revives. But when block damage is in the team, you most likely don't even need a reviver because nobody will go down. If they don't have block damage, they have shield on them. I know I kind of sat on this champion and slept on him for too long. You can see everybody is at 36 stack, 36 stack, 30 stacks, even 44 stacks of Iron Brand, but he is at 14 stacks of Iron Brand because of that high resist that he has on him. He's not getting too many Iron Brand stacks. Not that it's a problem. Woo! Check out that damage from Brimstone. That's a lot of damage. The boss is about to nuke himself right now. Check this out. I hope I have block damage right now. Yes! At the right time, I told you. No, we take nothing. We take no damage. I love this. I just love watching it happen in real time. I used to monitor my what do you call it, these Twin Fortress battles, and sometimes I take over and do it manually because I don't trust these champions to always have their skills done on the right time. But when I have Helicath in this team, I can trust him to keep my team alive. So it is always available at the right time, either the shield or the block damage. So I'm not worried about anybody dying, but just in case somebody dies, that's why I have a revival right there to bring them alive with a passive. And that's how it goes. With nobody dies, nobody took any much damage, and we completely sealed this deal. All right, that's my champion build for Helicath. Like I said, is best used for the clan boss, for unkillable teams. If you're new to raid, that's the best way to go. Check out Deadwood website so you see teams that you can use this champion in. Don't just come in here and build him for other content. Build him for clan boss first, because that's the most important thing you need to get unkillable teams going for Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, which he makes possible. But if you are done with the clan boss, you no longer need him for the clan boss. It's time to dust this champion out of your vault and use him for other content like the Hydra and Iron Twins Fortress, and in high stats like you see me building. So this is in no way a new player friendly build that I did. This is an end game player build that I did and showed you how I do him for stage 15 and the Hydra, hard or even brutal Hydra if you can. Let me know what you think about this one. I'm open to all your suggestions in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.